You're listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently from Jen Du Plessis, America's Mortgage Mastery mentor with over 37 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. Jen has been mentoring loan officers and realtors for over 15 years and speaking on stages across the globe. So settle in and get ready as Jen and her guests share their experience, passion, and strategies to help you crack the top producer code to reach new heights in your business. And now, here's your host, Jen Du Plessis, Mortgage Mastery Mentor and head chick in charge of Kinetic Spark Consulting.
Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of Mortgage Lending Mastery. Okay, so today I want to introduce my guest right away. Matt Kemp is the Vice President of Partnerships for DealMachine. So you can go to DealMachine.com. It's a leading growth platform for real estate investors. Now, one of the reasons why I brought him on is because, as many of you know, I'm a real estate investor, and we have some things happening during COVID that I feel this is really a opportune time for loan officers and real estate agents to start looking at different or additional streams of income. And so that's why I have Matt on here. But DealMachine helps real estate investors scale a team, if you want, to identify properties that may be off the market, pocket listings, and build a marketing list so you can buy some properties, reducing your marketing spending, which we can talk about here in just a minute, and therefore increasing your ROI. Previously, Matt led partnerships for Influence and Company, an Inc. 500 list content marketing agency, and helped grow the firm from 8 to 80 employees. He also has co-organizes Funders and Founders, a virtual marketing event connecting entrepreneurs with investors and vendors to help them grow. Matt is a family man with 2 boys and a new baby girl at home. How fun. How old's your baby girl?
4 months now. So yeah, it's been a wild year on that front too. So
oh yeah, I imagine it has. Well, hopefully she's seen you without your mask, and I know she has.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to sleep here and there, but
yeah, a little bit. Okay, so let's just dig right in because so DealMachine, it's an app. That's the first thing we need to make people aware, right? Right. It's an app for people. And I've been very clear on my podcast. I'm not here to pitch, products necessarily, but I am here to help people with personal and professional development. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your opinion on it. We've talked in the green room about this. We've talked before about it is, what do you see as the opportunity right now for investors? And then how does that relate to real estate agents and loan officers and how they can use that to help them as well?
Yeah. And I think, again, thank you so much, Jen, for having me on. Love speaking to your audience because they, super engaged and really, your past interviews have been top notch too. So thanks again. I think, like you said, we're an app that, the idea behind it really came from our founder who had previously been a tech entrepreneur. He was new to real estate investing. He was new to the real estate world in general and was trying to scratch his own itch. Like he was trying to figure out, how do I find that first deal, or how do I get into real estate investing? Or, if you're a realtor, like how do I provide, value to my clients in creative ways? I think in loan officers as well. I think where he started behind that was to really figure out, how do I create a technology to really find that next deal and really help people network and help people get to know buyers and sellers. That technology, is what DealMachine is today. So it's an app that you can download for free. It's, kind of a CRM that, helps you kind of manage your pipeline for generating that next lead and for getting in touch with people. And then it's also a technology to help enable you to, when you do, drive down the street and you see a property, you're easily able to get in touch with that person, whether it be a phone call, an email, direct mail piece. It helps you do all those things. So it was kind of born out of that. But.
Yeah. And now look, I can understand that situation. As an investor, I get it. But if someone's listening, they're going, well, is that really a problem? I mean, how hard is it to find properties? So can you talk about what people typically have to go through in order to find properties for sale that aren't necessarily with a sign on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was really our main deal too, is figuring out like how do you do this in a way that you get directly to the property owner, and do that
Yeah.
like you said, not have to wait for it to be officially listed, like and even beyond that, being able to think about how do you do that at scale is really the main value behind it
Yeah.
is using
Mhm.
technology to be able to reach out to many people, like be able to use it in a way that you don't just find the one off and network one to one, but really put yourself out there where you're consistently putting yourself in front of potential sellers. And that means using direct mail, that means using your other marketing channels to be able to do this at scale. So yeah, I think normally there are many more barriers to understand how do you, like, you'd have to write down the address, you had to look up how to get in touch with them, you'd have to figure out how to call them, figure out how to send email, send an email or a postcard. Whereas this is a way to do that at scale and use technology to automate a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to tell you, I mean, that's definitely the way it is. I mean, I have a system that I can use that will identify some properties, but I still have to print, lick, and stick and stamp
Yeah, very manual.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything. And then kind of wait for them to get in touch with me, wonder if they're the right person, wonder who I'm getting, am I getting a renter at this house and it's not the owner? And,
Mhm.
so it's a very time consuming process. And then while that's happening, deals are getting past you because,
Mhm.
you're just not there at the right time. So,
Yeah,
um,
I 100% agree. Like, I think it's a timing thing. If
mhm.
you can outreach to people, and even if you have a great initial touch point with them and send a great mailer, like that's something that it might not be the right time. It might be something where okay, great, you got on their radar. But if you consistently follow up, like that is the main key that we find people really having success in, is that follow up. And if you're able to send, a mailer every couple months or every month or whatever it might be, you're at the top of the list, that when they
Right.
actually are ready to sell or ready to move, or that type of thing, you're the one who's built that relationship with them, or stay top of mind with them over time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's just talk about COVID for a minute. We're in
Mhm.
COVID and a lot of, I mean, the market, let's face it, a year ago, everybody was singing the blues about everything. Now, there's definitely movement in the market. People have been, in their homes and done renovations or not, decided
Right.
they wanted to move. But more specifically, people have, um, they have adopted or decided to go get at least in my perspective, and you can tell me other reasons why, but in
Yeah.
my perspective, they decided they were going to go through forbearance, and they were going to say, hey, this is great, my lender says I don't have to make my payment, I won't make my payment. But now that's all coming to a close, now that's, or
Mhm.
ahead or whatever, where now the lenders are saying, okay, so now we need our money, we need our money,
Mhm.
and we're going to find that there are going to be a lot of people that can't make that payment up, can't make that difference, have to go through a process. And that's going to provide opportunities, unfortunately, or fortunately for us. We also, I'm just kind of setting this up. Also, right
Mhm.
before COVID, if someone bought a house with little or no equity, as an owner occupied, they bought a house with little or no equity and they lost their job. And the only way they can get a new job is to go to a different state. They don't have the equity to sell. So
Mhm.
these are sometimes distressed situations, and sometimes just I need to do this quick, right?
Yep.
So I just kind of setting up, where we are in the marketplace right now, because I do feel like we're just at the brink of this being a really, really big investor market. So tell us a little bit about what you're seeing, and what seems to be the trends right now. It's not, is it, buy and hold? Is it fix and flip, or renovate? What is it that you're seeing investors doing right now?
Yeah, and it's a good way to provide context as well. I mean, I think
Mhm.
regardless of what you're doing, being able to kind of diversify your strategies and think through and really be known as this connector, like be known as somebody who can provide solutions for buyers and for sellers. Especially if you're in a position to be able to fulfill on both ends, or to be able to help in whatever way possible. Like that's where you want to be. Like that's something you can really kind of evolve with the market and really do more of one or the other, or really prepare properly as things are shift. We definitely see quite a bit of talk in that arena of, yeah, like you said, whether it be sometime next year, when things are really going to catch up to us. Like it's tough to look into that crystal ball and really know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
um I do know, I mean, people who are really thinking about lead gen, like it's a combo of, of a, a lot of wholesalers, a lot of people who are, buying and holding, and beyond that, the fix and flip again, like we've seen that maybe slow down a little bit too. But yeah, I think that in the end, no matter what you're doing, being seen as this go-to resource for people and being able to use technology to help connect yourself with buyers and connect yourself with sellers is going to put you in the right position to be able to evolve with the market.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about diversity. I know you said diversity, of different investment. I mean, obviously it's just different investment types too, but it's diversity. And I wouldn't even say diversity at this point. I just spent, the entire weekend I'm holding a retreat for my loan officers and my real estate agents, right? A small group of them, but and every one of them want multiple streams of income.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it amazing as a whole in these two industries that so many loan officers and so many real estate agents aren't actually investors. They have their primary home, maybe a second home, maybe one investment, but they don't have any, a secondary, a third or whatever source of passive income. So what advice or what words, of advice would you, or words of wisdom would you like to give to everyone about that too? And how this particular mechanism, this app could help people, make that transition into it, because it's so hard to transition into being an investor. There's a lot of talk about it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, that is, I mean, I think in general, some of the areas that we see people, making mistakes is really that analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
One of those
Analysis
two.
paralysis. Yeah.
Yes. Where you're taking in so much information, and that's great. Like, that's fantastic. We're living in the information age where you can, access podcasts like this and whatnot, but really taking action on that information and really getting out there is that next step, and that thing that's going to actually help you build momentum. I think, like, in general, you see a lot of figures of, millionaires have 6 to 7 forms of income. Like, there's so many cases that you can see of why you need to diversify your income and hedge your bets by being able to supplement what you're doing during the day by investing and things like that. And I think real estate investing in general is going to make you a better agent, a better loan officer. It's going to help you build that network. Like, many of your best clients may come from that network. And I think you're going to learn your market much better too if you're doing that. So I think in general, it's a natural extension of what your day job might be. But that was one of the main reasons we built DealMachine too, is to say, like, hey, let us be a technology to generate leads for you in general, whether you be an investor or an agent or a wholesaler, whatever the particular approach might be. So I think, we can do it in a couple different ways. You can either physically get out there and drive for dollars, and get in your car, drive down the street and find properties that way. You can hire a driving team to go do that for you. You can pull lists from the technology to be able to tell you, like, hey, here's, every house that fits this particular criteria within our area. You can use the CRM to kind of manage the whole thing. So we've built a couple different ways to be able to go and do that.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions about that as well. So so let's say I'm a real estate agent. So where am I going to benefit the most on this? And I have a feeling I know the answer because there's a comment that I hear all the time. There's no inventory. There's no inventory. So if I'm a real estate agent, I'm listening, and by the way, loan officers, listen in, because if you're hearing this and your real estate agent isn't listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery, you can take this as another tool in your toolkit to provide value to your real estate agent. So, so I'm a listing agent. Where am I going to benefit from, obviously diversifying my portfolio? I get that, but where am I going to benefit in my job, in my realtor job?
Yeah. And I think that, your hint on the inventory piece right there is, kind of going to nail it there. I mean, I think, in the end, like, we want to make, our goal is to have a technology that enables you to take, skyrocket your inventory, to really pour fuel on that. Again, like the ways you can do that, it's either, the driving for dollars method, which I think you can also actually do quite a bit around, like, virtual driving for dollars, or which we actually, it's funny, we have a Chrome plugin to help you do that and basically do it through Google Maps to be able to
Oh,
go
wow.
down.
Yeah. To kind of drive and look at the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's especially like, in the COVID era too, like that's something that people are doing just from their house on their couch. Like we had talked to somebody today that was doing it while watching football yesterday, like literally can multitask a little bit.
Licking and sticking and going out and trying to find. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it makes it a little bit easier there. So I think being able to generate leads through that method, and up your inventory that way, taking it to the next level, I really think is hiring that driving team, and that's the area that we recommend people, like whether it be if you know anybody that's an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, Instacart, these services, Amazon. Yeah, exactly. Like anything where they're out driving already, especially if they have time in between trips, like saying, hey, while you're out, drive around and take a few pictures of properties for me that would fit my criteria, whatever criteria you give them. And through DealMachine, you can actually track that of what properties they're putting in, what routes they're driving, really kind of their productivity overall. And you can pay them per qualified lead that way and get in front of people that way where, it fills up your CRM, you start sending direct mail to those people, and then, you're focused on filling your inventory again.
So what are people paying people to drive? Is it a profit share, or is it a, $20 an hour, $10 an hour, something less than that? I mean, or is it based on, get 5 leads, 5 people in my database today? I mean, how is that done?
Yeah, it's kind of a combo. So I think our most common payment methods we've seen is usually some kind of, like hourly, $10, $15 an hour type deal. Also combining that with a performance metric. So saying, I'll pay you $1 per qualified lead that you put in.
Yeah.
The way that our technology works is when they drive around, and they start inputting properties into the technology, you actually have to go in and approve and say, okay, yeah, it looks good. I'll start sending mail to them, or I'll give them a call. And that way they're not like sending out a bunch of mailers for you or anything. But you're also able to quality control it at that point and say, okay, they drove for $15 an hour for 2 hours. They put in 50 leads for me. 40 of them looked good. So you pay them an extra, 40 or whatever it might be, whatever your metric might be for those qualified leads.
Yeah.
We have seen some profit share as well. Like, that's going to motivate people even more. And especially if you're using it as a real estate investor specifically, like really pitching them and saying, this is a way for you to learn about real estate investing and help them kind of, be a newbie and get used to this and learn that way. That's another pitch that we've seen, but yeah, I think like from a payment standpoint, it's usually a combo of hourly with some kind of performance based pay.
I think that's important because, in this industry, many years ago, we got up in the middle or the morning on Sunday morning on our bikes with our kids on the back of the bikes. And we had our little refi flyers and, and we delivered them, and shoved them into the Washington Post plastic bag, in the middle of the night, or put them on the outside of the mailbox. And, we got to the point where we hired some people to do that. And what we found is that they just took the whole pile and they threw it away.
Yep. Yeah. So this is like
8 hours.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like the idea of quote unquote driving or biking for dollars, whatever you want to call it, has been around forever. But our goal is to make it use technology to give you data to really make informed decisions.
It shows where they went in the little dot, kind of like when you're standing at the airport and you're watching your little Uber car come along.
Just like that. Yeah. So you can see the track, and then it's quality control there too. So
yeah. I know. I think it's pretty interesting to do that, and I want to point out too, what's so great about that is that, while you're, being a real estate agent and while you're being a loan officer and you're doing what you do best, you have someone out there sort of bird dogging for you. I mean, they work for you, but they're bird dogging for you. So that you don't have to get home, be exhausted, try to find some time. You can have someone else be out there doing this for you while you're making the big bucks, and bringing that in. So what kind of conversion ratio? So this was the second thing I wanted to ask you. What kind of conversion ratios are you all seeing in a CRM, or is that really based on the person's CRM, what they're saying, or do you have a template of conversations and, subject lines and timing, the timing in between them? Tell us how that works.
Yeah. So I think from a conversion rate perspective, it is highly variable based on all those things you're laying out
Mhm.
there. I think we've really focused on making the technology so that way you're setting yourself for success. Like, whenever you send out a postcard, it automatically, if you don't touch anything, it automatically just imports the address on there, the right copy, like just our default. We have
Right.
10 templates that are in there that are all designed for that reason, to be able to design to set you up for success in general. So if you don't even touch anything, it's automatically already going to send you some pretty high quality copy and postcard design. One element that we definitely tweaked is if you are out in the field and actually you have a bird dog or even yourself taking pictures of that property, that picture will actually import right onto the direct mail piece too. And that's especially key if it's like an absentee owned property,
Yeah,
or,
'cause it's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So they may or may not even, they might even know the shape that their property's in. Like they might see it and say, wow, is that really what my house looks like or my property looks like? So I think that gets a way higher response rate in general. But our whole, our technology is set up to give you a great template to do that, to be able to follow up automatically. So you can say, hey, follow up with them every 3 weeks or every month, or however long you want to put in there. So you can kind of program that out beforehand. I know the default on there is 21 days. And so 3 weeks to make sure you stay top of mind. But again, that's all customizable too. And then conversion rate, it just depends on all those variables, and then what your conversion is. Like if it's an agent that's just focused on listings, like that's going to be a different number. Then I know our real estate investor friends, like someone who's actually focused on building that out.
Yeah.
I know in general what we try to coach people on is say, okay, start with putting in 200 qualified properties, which
Right.
give or take on how long it takes you. I think most people are doing that within like 5 to 10 hours usually driving around. So put in that many properties, whether it's yourself or somebody you hire to go drive and do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then market to them each a minimum of 3 times. So ideally send them 3 postcards if you can. And we say those initial kind of batch of, what's that, 600 touch points, that initial batch is, from an actual real estate investment perspective, most of our users are getting their first actual closed deal, contract signed, everything, for their first investment property within that initial batch. So it's something that you can, it takes consistency. Like you got to get out there and make this a good habit, or hire someone to do that for you. But just from a pure numbers perspective, like we have seen people put in 4 properties and close something. Like that happens. Sometimes you get lucky sometimes, but we say put in that initial batch and then make sure that'll set you up for success.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So you were mentioning that, realtors could use this as well to be the straw that stirs the market, right? Is going out there and finding properties that, maybe aren't on the market now. Maybe they're distressed and they haven't called anybody, and you're at the right place at the right time, which people call luck. And that's actual work. But
engineering your own luck.
But maybe, yeah. But how do some of the real estate agents use it just to get listings? If they are not distressed, I mean, they're just kind of driving and saying, "I'd like to list that house because my client would love that house." Is that how that's done? And then to them.
Yeah, you can approach it with that mindset as well. Like the distress piece gives you a higher odds, especially on the investment side. Like if you're looking to be an agent investor, like somewhere in that realm, the distress piece will give people, you have more opportunity or just higher odds of being successful there. But if you have a seller, like you said, that knows, hey, I'd love like this size of house, this ARV, this, this area, like there's many criteria that you can filter through with our data. And you can either go and you can either drive around, and there's actually a feature within DealMachine that says, highlight all properties that meet this criteria. So the map feature, you can actually say, I want, these 10 different things about the house, show me everything that fits it within this zip code. And it'll pop up and actually put green boxes around every single house that fits that criteria. So you can actually do that, drive around and validate with your own eyes, or just simply pull that list and say, okay, now we have a qualified list to start marketing to and start either sending direct mail to or calling. So it's a way to be able to find that, like you said, find that dream home from a buyer's perspective and really use criteria that way. Or you can, validate it's a distressed property, while driving and then use it as a filter that way.
So are you able to save those types of searches? So let me give you the example. So we have a real estate agent that we use for our investment properties. She knows our criteria.
Yep.
She knows what I'm looking for. And a lot of times we get pocket listings, right? Because she's like, hey, I just found one. It's not quite on the market, or it just went on the market. Here's the deal. If it's not a pocket listing. And she knows my criteria. So would a real estate agent be able to enter that information in, right? And save that criteria and then go back in and say, hey, are there any more that popped up today? Are there any more for, Jones?
Yeah. That's actually, so it's funny. We, probably a month or two ago, launched that specific feature. So we call it a smart list.
Okay.
But that's exactly what you're talking about. Of if you go into our list engine, whenever you circle a particular, you can go in there and physically circle it on the map, or put in a certain zip code and say, and then, or even city. You can do citywide if you want to get that broad. But you can go in there and say, here's my criteria. Show me all the properties that fit that, and it'll say, hey Matt, you've got 50 that fit this criteria. But then every single Monday, the smart list feature is that we update that database. So that way, every Monday, if there's another house that's added to that criteria or taken away from that criteria, it automatically updates that on your list. So that way you can go in there on a Monday and say, yeah, I've got 55 properties now, or 45, or whatever it might be. And you can actually sync your marketing to that too. So it's smart marketing where you have this list that is going up and down according to that criteria.
Yeah, right. So I mailed like to 55 people, and now there's only 48, and there are different 48.
It cuts off the other ones. Exactly. Yeah. So it optimizes your marketing spend by adding or taking away the ones that don't fit your criteria anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So let's switch gears. Now I'm a loan officer. How does a loan officer benefit from this? Obviously, I get the fact that everybody can be an investor, and I will get to the investor question. But how does a loan officer benefit from learning about this to be able to help their clients or help their real estate agents?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, you can use it as a networking tool. Like you can use it as something that, again, my take on like really just business development in general is just provide value, like give value, give education, give connections, give leads, like give as any way you can. And that way you're opening doors for yourself. So I think especially for loan officers, like if you're able to use this technology and give this to agents and help them, and use it as a way to be able to supply them with leads and with inventory, and with other networking opportunities and that kind of thing, especially like you can even go in there, and if you see a property that's 100% owned and it's corporate owned, like that's a way to even pull cash buyers lists and that kind of thing. Like, there are ways to use it as just a networking tool in general. All those things are going to set you way above any other, it's put you at the top of your class in terms of your own industry. So while it's a little bit of a creative use case, I think there's a ton of value of ways you can do that and just kind of give to your whole network, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned, so let's go ahead and switch over to investors. So, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a loan officer, I'm whoever's listening to the podcast, and I have a whole variety of people that are outside of that as well. And I'm thinking, I really want to get into this investment game. And I know one of the things you said is, find 200 properties, 5 to 10 hours. And I'm looking at that going, I could pay a kid $10 an hour to drive around during COVID. Something to do to get out of the house. Right. So for $200, I could have them drive around to 200 properties. And by the way, I can do that locally. I can do that in Timbuktu, as long as it's the United States. I get it. That I could do that in any segment of market that I really wanted to, and try to reach out and just find someone, post something online that says I'm looking for a driver, or whatever the case may be. And then I have marketing pockets all over the place, and so I kind of see that as obviously the way to get started, but there's got to be some way to get started beforehand. So is there alignment? Like, can you guide us through, okay, so you want to be a real estate investor. Where's the best place for you to start from your perspective?
Yeah. And even when you are outsourcing and hiring drivers and that kind of thing, that is, you're right, it is kind of like the next level strategy. I do recommend doing it yourself to begin with. Like I'd recommend getting in there and, like I said, taking actions that first step. It's it's listening to all these things and listening to Jen and, your variety of information sources and taking action by, really for us, like our goal to lower the barriers to that was download this app. You've got the free CRM to kind of manage your properties there. And then I know you can start a free 7-day trial to even just kind of get, to push you and say, hey, this is what I mean by taking action, get out there.
Yeah.
And, that initial opportunity is using either our street engine or our list engine, but the street engine especially is our driving for dollars piece where, if you go drive down the street, go to a particular neighborhood that you think based on your experience and your day job is a great place to be, a great place to potentially invest, and start driving around and look for the lowest hanging fruit to me is the properties that are the worst, the most distressed on the block, like the ones that are being least taken care of on the block. And especially if they're absentee owner, like I think that's just one less barrier to jump over for people as they don't have to even move. I think like those two criteria starting there, which our app will tell you when you enter that property in, if it's an absentee owner property or not, starting there and being able to say, okay, I can either skip trace and call this person, which literally for us, it's 17 cents to do that. So you can call that person, or you can send a direct mail piece, which is 55 cents to do that. And it'll send them a postcard and say, hey, you can put in whatever you like, but it automatically will say like, hey, I was, driving past your house. Would you be, here's what I saw, wrong with it. Would you be open to selling this property? Like, starting there and at least taking action like that, and then consistently doing it. Like if you're able to, consistently get out there and hit those first 200 properties and follow up with them multiple times, like that's where you're going to get that first deal. And when you're able to do that, you'll build momentum. So,
okay. So let's talk about financing for a second. So are most of the investors that come in, are they newbies and they've gone to, a real estate investing guru? Now the guru says you have to do all this, and you're now coming in and saying, hey, but I can make it easier for you to do that. Well, what about the person that's like, I just kind of want to be an investor and kind of find some houses? What are they going to do when they make that call and they say, hi, I saw your house. Do you want to sell it? And they go, yeah, I'd like to sell it. And now what we know in lending is might not be in the best condition and we can't get it alone. So do you have financing outlets for the people that are using this app? Do you have a little click like find some financing on this house so that it takes that property information and pushes it to a financing company and they let you know what the terms might be?
So we put out a good amount of content, a little bit around that. Like we really try to, practice what we preach and put out educational content and help people kind of take that next step. There isn't a button currently through the app like that, but we've also talked about partnerships to solve that problem and are actively thinking about it. So it's something that I think we try to educate people on how to do that, how to take that next step. Our main niche is we want to be the best out there providing that initial lead for you. But then you're right. Like it will it will require you to take action to line up the fund.
Yeah, either pay cash for it or go find some financing for it. Okay, good. I was just curious. That happens to be the type of financing I do now.
There you go. Yeah, love it.
But it has to be for investors, right? It can't be owner occupied, but it happens to be the financing, some of the financing that I do is, for the buy and holds and the fix and flips and the multi-units and stuff. So let me ask you about that. Is this single family only? Or are you finding that this data is available for multifamily as well? Meaning anything more than single.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it can work. I mean, I think probably singles are most common, but it can, also apply to land. It can apply to multifamily, commercial in a couple different ways. So yeah, it's definitely can be creatively applied like that. But that's why we love, being on podcasts like this. It's like, hey, we generate the lead. You got to run with it from here. Jen's right there.
No, I mean, it kind of worked out. Yeah, it kind of worked out that way. Yeah, no question. But no, I was kind of hoping you had some financing too, because I just still like, to have all the opportunities possible. But anybody could call me about it too. I think that's, really interesting. Again, I mean, this is just a way to make the transition much easier into that investing, world. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, how this works. I mean, you said you can log on for free, but then you said there's a 7-day trial. So tell us, and I know you're giving some things away for us too. And I had them up here, but now I can't find them again. But I know you're giving some like project management documents and things like that. Just on what is the process? So tell us a little bit about how we get involved if we want to pursue this more.
For sure. Yeah. And so the overall, like how DealMachine works, you've got the free CRM. So like you mentioned, that's the thing that is going to help you manage your pipeline. It's going to help you can actually import up to 50,000 leads already into there. So if you have a bunch of addresses already, but you want to use our data to kind of backfill that and see more about those owners and see what's absentee and what's not, and what, equity they have, and like, a variety of different metrics there, you can just easily, with like an Excel file or CSV file, just easily upload it into the CRM to kind of start there. And that's, the CRM, the free piece. From there, you kind of have two specific software, upgrades that you could potentially look at. You've got the list pulling engine. So that's our list feature, where that's the one where you can circle an entire area and tell me, hey, show me every lead that fits this criteria, and it'll dynamically change every week for you.
Right.
So that's one option. The other option is you're driving for dollars. So that's the street engine that I talk about. So, you can upgrade there to be able to either get out there and start driving around and have a map and see where you've driven and track your route. And when you see a house, add it to your CRM and take a picture of it and send mail, and like that whole process is the other option.
Okay. So it integrates the marketing aspect of it, not just the search engine. So one does just a search, which is fine. And then the other, and so if you've already built your own marketing, letters and things like that, then you just run with it. Otherwise, that secondary part is not done for you, but it's sort of a done with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
A done with you process, right?
Yeah. And the goal is to make it what you're currently doing much more efficient and easy to follow up with. So it's you're one click away essentially from sending the postcards, the direct mail, and or you can, like I said, skip trace to get a phone number to call. So
I don't have to print the postcard.
Correct. Yeah. So
where do they come from? Where do the postcards come from? Where's like the general location of where they come from?
So we have a direct mail provider we've teamed up with. I believe he's based in Indianapolis.
I was just curious.
Yeah. So
he's in the middle of the country, which means that the mail will get there quickly.
Yep.
No matter where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I think that's key.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, that was definitely logistically part of it, but I think it usually takes about 5 days to go from hit send to in their mailbox.
Yeah.
Based on our process. So you can really do either printed postcards or actually like ballpoint letters. So we actually have a provider that will be, handwritten, essentially looking letter that is sent that way too.
Okay.
So
it's not send out cards.
Correct. Yeah. No holiday cards.
But it's similar to, so if this were, I'm going to, and I want to ask you, do you have any other, so what is it you're giving us? I know one's a checklist.
Yes. So I knew I missed something there. So we had two kind of quick start guides. So one of them is your driving for dollars, like street engine. It's saying, how do you get the most ROI possible from driving for dollars? So it'll actually go through, it'll tell you like, hey, here's a quick checklist of things to go through to be able to get the best ROI from the strategy, and things that are really simple on how to leverage our technology to do that. And then the other checklist is for a driving team. So it's being able to actually take that to the next level and, hire someone to drive, and what do you think through in the, step-by-step for that. So they're two quick little PDF checklists that we'll
that's
share.
really cool. And I think those things would be powerful. If you're a loan officer listening, I think that would be powerful for you to give to a real estate agent and say, this is what it's like. I mean, I look at real estate agents too, and, and many of them want to get into investing, not investing themselves, but they want to get into working with investors, and they just don't have the knowledge behind it, and I think that becomes their problem and their sticking point. But I think if they could find a listing, it would force them in a good way to get started. It would be, the trigger that they pull to be able to get started, in doing this. So I think that's pretty incredible as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. So hopefully, our goal is to make that as easy as possible.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think in general, yeah, I mean, it's exciting, like I said, to try to just give people the tools to make this happen for them. I mean,
Yeah.
I know, in general, if you do try for that free trial, I believe we'll actually give an offer for your audience specifically, saying, hey, make sure to sign up. Will it be in like the podcast notes potentially?
Right.
So that way they have that free trial, but then also they'll get actually free deal credits. So that way they'll be able to send out $15 worth of postcards and skip tracing and all those kind of touch points. Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
because that way, they if you're going to sign up, go through that. So that way you get those free
So
credits.
like actually do it.
Yeah,
It's
and actually take action on it.
right. It's like actually just go do it. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. So, I would say, look, if you're, and this entire podcast is about action, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, what do I do? Obviously I'm going to tell you to do your research, to go to DealMachine.com and get some information. And actually, I'm not going to have you go there. I'm going to have a special link, right? I think I have a special link. Yeah. I'll have a special link that you can go to so that you can get that extra $15, for the marketing piece of it. But, here we are. I mean, we're recording this towards the end of October. This will probably be released some mid-November, maybe. I don't know, someplace like that. But my thinking, I mean, if this were me, and it is me because I'm interested in this, I would be saying, you know what, I'm going to jump into this just as we get into Thanksgiving. If you're listening to it at that period of time or between Thanksgiving and Christmas when the lull is there, and I would jump into this and start creating that CRM, creating that marketing plan and that marketing campaign so that it hits once and then it hits again after Christmas. And then it hits again, as this, not spring, but, it'll start hitting more and more frequently. So you could get a really good jump start on next year at being able to not diversify, but create more streams of income for you. I mean, I just see all kinds of potential for this and it's worth a shot. So yeah. Would you agree? I mean, is there something I missed there on how you would do that?
No, I think the timing's great, like you said. Now during that lull is when you want to get creative and be able to come into the year, already ahead. So, that's a great time to start.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the site, looking to see if there was anything else I had a question about. So, wonderful. Well, great. Thank you. So now if someone had questions, they said, I don't want to go on the website and kind of get my information. I want to talk to somebody. What's the best way that they can reach you, Matt?
Yeah, I was going to say they can reach out to me directly. Just email would be Matt, MATT at DealMachine.com. So feel free to reach out via email and I'll make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah, just mention the podcast and he'll take care of you. He's very personable, Midwestern guy. So that, for those of us that are on the East Coast and the West Coast, we know how the inside is all gushy and mushy and so much nicer than all of us. We're just different.
I'm in St. Louis with a team. We've got people in Indianapolis and then, we're largely Midwest. So, yep.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm a Midwestern who turned into an Eastern person, but no, I'm still really nice. But yeah, no, I think this is really good. And I also want to say too, is that, the way that we were introduced was through another podcaster who has a podcast specifically for real estate agents. And, and he saw the value in this as well. And so, if you're listening to this and you're one or the other, it will catch up. And you're going to be behind the 8 ball in being able to be that straw that stirs up the market and find some properties, to help your clients continue to increase their portfolio. I truly believe that.
Yep. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. It's something that I think, again, like, this is a way to stand out immediately and be able to build a pipeline for the future and kind of, prepare for whatever's coming.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time today. I sure appreciate it. And again, everybody, make sure if you want to reach out to him directly, it's Matt at DealMachine.com. And then be sure to click on the link below to get that special discount. Otherwise, you won't get that special discount if you go directly to the website. So thank you so much for listening. And Matt, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Jen.
Okay, everybody. So just remember, please. Now, listen, if you're listening on your iPhone, just scroll down to the bottom and then you're going to see a whole bunch of blank stars and just fill it into 5. Fill it into 5 and write us a nice review as well. We We love hearing what you have to say about the podcast and what you're learning and how it's changing your practice. So please continue to put those in there. It's our way of knowing what we're providing is something that you're interested in hearing about, to grow your practice. So we'll catch you next time on Mortgage Lending Mastery.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Be sure to subscribe to hear more sales tips, ideas, strategies, and tactics to help you with your personal and professional growth to multiply your results in record time. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Wanting more beyond the podcast? Join our Mortgage Lending Mastery membership community, where you will find extended interviews with our favorite guests, weekly training, tips, and insider secrets, fireside chats with Jen, free content, meet, share, and collaborate with other members, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about this exclusive content. Mortgage Lending Mastery is an Industry Syndicate charter podcast. Industry Syndicate is the first podcast network specifically for the mortgage and real estate industries. Get the Industry Syndicate app in the App Store or Google Play today.